deeper analysis tailored to each and every organization's usage, right? For example, we are also talking about what if we bring a dashboard where it says that, you know, two of your high priority customers are asking for this feature which has been there for quite some time, and it's with your current team's capabilities, it's quite possible to do considering the speed of your execution. So those sort of analytics we can bring in now, but it has kind of a technical approach to it. We cannot rely on current MySQL sort of infra. We need to go into some other database to make the data available for these analytics. So those sort of changes that needs an infrastructural implementation. That is quite a kind of a larger feature, but not a so complex to build feature. So that's how we need to, you know,
so in this case, if it is not complex and you're saying it's a large feature, then the only thing that is actually going to be affected, which makes you think that it's a large feature, is the time.
Yeah, time is one aspect.
I think user segmentation is a beautiful example, right? So, from a non-tech perspective, we already have this workflow that's already there in our product. So, saved filters is basically segmenting your feedback. So, what we are going to do is we're not going to change anything so drastically that it's going to affect a lot of touch points or have impact on a lot of touch points, but it's still going to get a huge feature out there, which will the same workflow for customers rather than feedback. So I think that's a beautiful example of a large feature but minimal complications, but getting maximum done out of it.
Yeah, my question revolves around what we were talking during the coffee break recently, where we actually spoke about the familiarity of a technology that gives you the liberty to say this is a small feature, quick enough, I can do this, and the unknown in technology that can actually drag it to become a large feature or a complex feature, right? I don't think it's a large feature, it's a complex feature, because we as humans tend to think that complexity relies in the unknown, right? Because you don't know, and after you figure out, it's like, only this, like it's simple. We've been in that space for a long time. We've figured out smaller things and all those things. So that's where I want to understand, because that's where we were actually conversing before this meeting as well, where you were actually mentioning that if it takes, one good example is the analytics part of it, where you were not sure about the NeonDB or what is it? Neo.js.
Neo4j.
Neo4j, Neo4j, right? So those things, if we spend time on it, then we understand it quickly enough to implement it.
Yeah, it's basically, you know, the time that we invest on figuring out the right technology, right? So that the implementation becomes easier. So we can do the same thing with MySQL, the analytics. But the thing is, it will not be the efficient one.
Yeah, so that's for you to be able to say that MySQL is not efficient. You know MySQL already,
yes.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
So
exactly.
We need to arrive, at least for us, we need to arrive at a space quickly enough where we say, hey, listen, this much amount of hours is what I'm going to put in to do this research. Right? And once I am at least 60% familiar with this, Neo4j for example, then we go and start implementing it, because when we implement only, it is going to be showing the true color. On paper it is all amazing, on Twitter it is even more amazing, but on the ground reality is actually completely different. So what is the time that we can actually set as a SOP for the company, where we say, listen, this is, as we scale, it is important to build systems, right? So in those cases, then we have to be sort of defining an area where people can look into. Okay, one day research, I'm going to full on do only research on this topic, so that we can actually build features that the customers can use. Ultimately, that's what matters, right? So what is it that you suggest we can actually set as a timeline?
Yeah, I think, honestly speaking, time would not be a right metric for it. What we can do is that break down the feature on what exactly it has to do, and then the research should basically see if you have like 10 things to do, right? Like, for example, analytics has 10 things to do. It should be dynamic, it should be fast, it should be efficient. It should also be budget friendly. Like you cannot like put large server and then do analytics. So you need to break it down to minor things, and the research should be catering towards whether the technology that we are choosing is solving that or not. So that's all it has to do.
Yeah, my portion is actually at a micro level. When you say research should be done, how much time we need to set up? We need to time box it.
No, we cannot time box it, considering that, see, we always, if we time box it, right, we'll be in a rush. We should not time box it, because if we
Then
say
how
today,
will we actually say when does the research end?
Exactly. So once we have like a solid understanding of the technology across our expectation, we go with it, right? Because if you set one day for it, the research could happen only in 2 hours also, or the research could take a week as well. So the thing is, in order to feel ourselves, are we in the right track? We need to plot, because plot it against what exactly the expectation, whether
Fine.
the tech is giving the capability or
Okay,
not.
so let me maybe put it across this way. Let's say, I'm coming from, a customer asking for a feature, and then we say, okay, we're going to do this, and then he asks me, okay, when this is going to be available for me to try, or when it's going to be live, right? So I say my team is doing the research on it, and then I give them an ETC. So what I'm asking you is, when do you know you've done or you've reached your threshold for the research, or when exactly do you say, okay, this has taken too much time in research, and then it's time to get some action done? How do you know that?
Yeah, as I said, whether when we feel that see, we can time box maximum time, right? Like you cannot take
That's
precisely
you cannot
what
take.
I'm getting
So
at.
if we are not getting the right amount of data by that time, we need to follow a different approach. We either outsource it, or bring a new person, or get trained much deeper in that. So that we can do. But for example, 2 days could be the research time, the maximum that we invested. But the thing is, I would not say that 2 days we should invest. We can say 2 days we'll try investing on research. If we don't figure it out by then, we need to follow a different approach. We cannot follow
That's
the same
precisely
approach.
what we are asking as well, because there is always a time commitment that we need to tell our customers, right? They are not obliged to stay with us for as long as we will
But
research.
it's not just an answer that we need to give to the customer. I think it's also a metric that we as product people should follow, because we cannot be stuck on that research loop forever. We cannot
that is true.
indefinitely keep doing a research. That it doesn't work that way, right? So I think it's a good metric to have internally. Say I'm going to only spend 2 days on research, and then if that doesn't work out, I'm going to take a different approach,
Exactly.
or try a different way to figure out how to solve a problem, right?
Yeah, but that what I'm saying is that at the end of the today, we cannot decide whether we go with the technology or not. We need to find a
It's
different
like an
approach.
action plan at least.
We should find a different approach.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Yeah, of course, I have different thoughts about outsourcing and all, but okay. Now we had these guys release a new feature, and we got the newsletter from the competition as well, right? Of course, I'm not going to name the competition, but they seem to have released this AI feature that we were also heading towards. I don't think, from what I've read from the email also, see, every single competition's change log causes a panic button to go off for a founder. But this one, for some reason, I was just calm. I know how fast these guys move. I've seen them over the last few years, ever since they started competing with us. And this doesn't seem to be a huge feature. But yeah, the marketing side of it made it look like, oh my god, like they arrived and all those things. But after you showed me the credit system, I'm like, oh my goodness, like they are
reading it right now, and it's crazy.
Right.
People are going to be spending exponential money on it, and
so how are we handling credits?
See, the thing is, these kind of features, right? The way we see modules or features is more like, we wanted to build something completely radical so that it stands out. But what I seen in these kind of releases is that they tweak the system, they change the workflow of their existing system. Like for example, instead of us suggesting the merge, whenever the score is higher, they automatically merge. Whether it is actually needed or not is up to the customer to decide, right? And then they market it as
still doesn't help.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So they market it as something that a completely phenomenal change. But whereas what we talking about, and bringing an analytics that is completely radical with the one that currently we have. So that is the reason why we feel kind of sometimes panic, and then when we actually read the
Exactly.
Exactly.
Very
So
simple.
see, it is recently I read somewhere that not every team in the company does the same, is at the same level, right? If the marketing is insanely good, then the product team is actually lower than their performance. For a company like us, I think it's the other way around, and we are trying to bring the marketing only now to the same level. That's what I saw in this, because the marketing email was like, oh my god, dude, like this is amazing.
See, there was also another case where one of our competitor launched saying that you have an assistant now. We all thought that it was an assistant. It was an assistant for their customers to.
It was gonna be an assistant for just going through the data that's there in the product, and then it's gonna give me some action items, some actually tangible business that I can take or make a decision on, or find out what I have to build next for my customers to get the maximum value out of it. But it ended up being assistant for
understanding the product.
Yeah, or like
for their own knowledge base.
Their own knowledge base, but it doesn't help a person or a product manager, who's collecting feedback or wants to get some action done out of that feedback, right? It's just how do I use that tool better? It doesn't add any value, and I think it's just copywriting. Good copywriting, maybe, I don't know.
I still feel like it is misleading.
See, the thing is, it's a good feature when you named it right. It's if you're naming it different, and then people also have an expectation of that being helpful for them, but when it's clearly not.
See, just to add up to your point, right? I still feel like the companies who are good at expressing what they're doing almost always express what they are doing for that instant, right? For example, under Copilot that they launched, the knowledge base assistant that they launched, right? The industry only எல்லாருமே தெரியும் assistantனா okay, this data is there, it is going to help me understand something like that.
Also the current trend of being assistant being a
keyword.
So we don't follow assistant anymore, right? We follow Copilot sort of a thing. So which is basically an assistant. But when they named it like that, it is definitely misleading.
It gets the people's eyes, but it probably gets sign-ups because people want to try it, but they are still disappointed. It's gone. So if I feel like most companies aim for that spike in traffic because that's their marketing KPI, saying this month we need to bring in this many sign-ups. But what if you cannot mislead the customers? That's one. And two, sometimes I do feel like, okay, why do this in the first place, right? You're pitching it anyway. Spend some time building that freaking thing. It's not that hard. Especially with your ultimately calling OpenAI API. Why do you have to be like this, right? And the second most important thing, especially when looking at the launch that they did today, sending out emailers and all those things, that's one thing that I liked about them, is that they sent out previously saying that we are launching something on May 13, which made us block our calendars as well to keep an eye. Whether it is surprising, disappointing, inspiring, that's a whole different story. This fall under the disappointing. It caught our attention. So that's something that we need to do.
True. I think the cycle of changes, right? It's not only building and then publishing it. Now we have so we can also have a book. Okay, we build this for you, but what more do you need? What more? How can we branch it out to much larger use cases? Something like that, right? Like that also. We could probably
in fact, even yesterday, for some reason, I was actually going for a walk, and I thought about the last time I saw a very unique website. When have you seen a very unique website? In the last few years. I think as the industry matures, just like the way all the cars have the same damn features, when the industrial revolution happened, cars were so beautifully designed. They were not designed for aero. Who gives a damn about aero? It was the cool thing. Like, see, even with the most complex, even the simplest and the most powerful, simplest cars back then, they had like 3 feet bonnet or something like that, right? The cars were huge with insane features.
The artistic part of it.
Exactly, the craftsmanship is gone, and that's why I feel like founders today are in the rush to do things, because as if the world is going to end, and that's partially because of the hustle culture that has been promoted all along, right? Like do, go make money stuff. Like for example, I'm opening GarageBand after a long time now. right, for this podcast and whatever it is. Look at the artistry that has been existing,
Yeah.
right? And professionals use it. You see the icons, you see the work that has gone in, and there is this meter that you can actually, I think it is this one. There is this, on the Mac, it is so beautiful, right? Where has the software gone in the industry? That's what Gary Tan also tweeted recently, that they would only fund really good founders with good UX ability. But the definition of UX itself has changed, unfortunately.
I think the problem comes with software being magical back then to software being very commercial now.
Right? People were exploring software. People were trying to bring it to reality.
Yeah.
இப்போ ஒரு notes இருக்குன்னா sticky notes, actually sticky notes with shadow இருக்கும்.
Yeah, and then they were trying to see back then they wanted to make softwares not so alien.
Yeah.
Right? So it should be a part of their daily life.
That's the definition. That's
now
all.
people are very used to software, right?
Yeah.
They know what exactly the software is, and so they're trying to cut down on
The software,
investing on.
everything.
Yeah.
It's everywhere. Like
Software,
even our parents are used to how to use softwares, right? So back 20 years now, back then we don't even have phones in our country, like mobile phones in our country. Now, like everyone uses software. So I think the necessity of investing on these aesthetics is gone. It's no more useful.
How do
That's what
we? I really want to change this. Whether we succeed or not is a whole different thing, right? Like, I mean, this is my personal belief that people who are in flow states, like musicians, the creators, where they say they go sit and it's like music flows through their hands, right? The writers like Nolan and all. How do they do it? Like it's because they are so passionate about it that they don't care about the outcome of it. They are in the moment with the thing, not in the moment that Humane promoted with their AI thing. But it's not heated anyway. But I believe that the brain starts to allow you unlimited delusional capabilities when you love something that you do. I want featureOS, which is our product right now. We're building some more things as well later on. How do we actually incorporate those kind of artistic behaviors in featureOS? Like for example, one of the ways that I thought about was, can we make the entire featureOS into a post that we open on the admin side? This could be a shabby idea as well. Can we make that into a canvas where people can put sticky on it and say, இவ்வளோ பெரிய ஃபீட்பேக் வந்திருக்கு, இதில் பாரு, இங்கே வந்து உன்னால் பண்ண முடியுமா, இது நம்ம இவாலுவேட் பண்ண முடியுமா? And what if the engineering teams come and say, okay, இதில் வந்து ஒரு சேலஞ்ச் இருக்கு, இதான் ஓப்பன் API-யோட இது. Can we even bring in a search inside of featureOS where we say, I want to build this feature is there. Like for example, AI analytics is there. I want to build this feature and this is my existing tech stack. Suggest me the stack that I need to go with. This way, you don't go in search of search engine and you don't see. First of all, you don't follow things that are going on Twitter. Twitter is for promoting noise. That's all, right? Ipo Neo4j, it's a beautiful thing. I don't see a lot of people talk about it on Twitter, right? It's so sad. Not sad, it's okay, but it works out beautifully for us.
I think the problem that is like, I think like softwares are saturated, right? Like the crowd that wanted these sort of aesthetics is gone. I mean, sadly
They were made to go away.
That they were made to go, and then the people who are using the software these days want things straightforward, right? That is one way. It's issues why people are pivoting towards it. But where there could be a difference is that since featureOS, we're talking about featureOS and it deals with a lot of data, the representation of data, right? It should not be just, okay, here's 100, here's 200, or this is the count of feedback or something.
Easy you make it for people to...
You can make it poetic in terms of data, right? Like when we bring in analytics, like the point that you mentioned, that make it more personalized, make it more like a co-pilot, where it is not a co-pilot, but it is more of a promptive one. Like you talk to it, or it is talking to you. So we can play around that area, the dialogues of it, right? Instead of just saying, this is basically creating a new changelog section. So maybe we can welcome them to publish a new changelog. Maybe we can make it more like, okay, you achieved something, right? More poetic in terms of the dialogues that featureOS contains, more than the design. Because design, I think it's already saturated. And and make it more dynamic. Every time they comment, they get a new welcome message, or they get a new motivational message to publish a new change log. Something like that. More dynamic so that they don't get used to it. They always see something new.
Yeah.
I think that's the way you check this box, no? You don't make people settle for the...
No.
You don't make people settle for one design standard that's stagnant now. You just keep introducing them to new things and in a good way. So people people don't get satisfied if the new thing that you bring in is broken. I think it essentially is you bring in something new. It has to work beautifully that they're satisfied with it and they want to see more like this on the product. I think that's how you train people to adapt to this.
It's more like
I want to get featureOS in the next month or so, or probably 2 months, where people log in and then they are greeted with a personal message, and there is only one search bar and a lot of very minimally represented recommendations on what they have to do next. That's all. Right now, it is very overwhelming for people to log in and see hundreds of posts flowing in from different sources, right? That's overwhelming. I think it has to change into something very, very simple, where the data is still there, but the ability to find the data and seek the data is actually different. The search bar also, it cannot be a normal one, where they should be like, for example, when you actually search on Finder on Mac, it is so underrepresented. You can actually search saying recent files I opened yesterday. Yeah. See, nobody knows. Recent files I opened yesterday, and that shows the files that you opened yesterday.
Right.
Right? Photos I edited on 2013. Right? It does it.
Yeah. The Spotlight. It has been there in Spotlight, and then they brought it to.
Yeah. It's been there for like ages and ages. Not a lot of.
I think that is one difference that Apple is there, right? Like they're not fancy.
Exactly.
So we should not be fancy, but they're robust.
Yeah. Why should we be fancy, right? Like we are not. See, the companies who release fancy features. That's why last week also, when Kritika we were talking about it, I was mentioning that we will not use AI as a term to highlight a value. We will always use what the user can do. Like we will always say, like, you come to featureOS to analyze large sets of data in a represented to you in a very simple way. We will not be like, we will use AI to do this, because the industry this is the quickest saturation that I have seen in the industry, right? So Ade Maria on the search bar has to be so rich that you treat it like a person, right? You treat the search bar and interface like a person.
And one more really, I feel like this would add a lot of value. One is the search bar. What I imagine is, see, there's different sources where you get feedback from, and to be very honest, not all the sources value equally. So for example, when there are tickets coming in or feedback coming in from Intercom, people with the most urgent and immediate, so whenever they need an immediate resolution or time-bounded resolution, they usually contact through live channels, right? So what I would rather like to see is, I would like to have a prioritized view on my dashboard where I have, so now our dashboard has all the feedback bundles like you.
So you are saying add weights to each episode.
Exactly. So I would
That's
like to
nice
have probably Intercom. John, let's get this rolling.
Yeah, it's actually nice. Like they can set priorities on which channels that they want to, like,
So I
Slack
have
could be their
segmented
community.
view of-
இல்ல ஏன்னா சாட்டுக்கு மோஸ்ட்லி பக்ஸ் தான் வரும்.
Yes.
கரெக்ட்டா? So
Precisely.
ஆனா Zendesk அந்த மாதிரிலாம் வந்து feature request
Feature
நிறைய வர
requests
chances
அதிகமா
இருக்கு.
வரும்.
Makes sense. Email.
So I would love
Like
to see
Slack could be their
dashboard.
community where people are actually
Yeah,
commenting.
where I have prioritized view. So I do not see, there are different product managers in company, and and there are also teams where not all product managers look into every aspect of the product. There's a product manager for one aspect of the product, and then different people for different touch points. So I can have a personalized view where I only have feedback coming in through Intercom, in emails, and probably let's say my Slack community. And there is you, another product manager, who handles Zendesk and other support.
They can do it now with save filters, but I
again,
understand it is not like a
there
special.
isn't a default view for me, right?
Right.
every time I go out of the platform and then I come back again, the view is getting updated. But this I think will add a lot of value.
Sure.
Yeah.
How do we get started on this?
We'll evaluate on how do we position the saved filters into that.
Again, we are going to build on top of saved filters. I think that's a beautiful feature
Yeah,
we
yeah.
brought in seriously. It's one amazing thing.
ஆனால் அது ஏன் பண்ணணும் அந்த இன்டகிரேஷன் ஸ்பேஸில் இருக்குல்ல each and every integration you can actually set the priority
It
there.
has to be a
Look, Swati is saying like I should be able to set the priorities. Right? எனக்கு தேவையானதை நான் choose பண்ணுவேன்.
Yeah,
Okay. Each and every
eventually நீங்க சொல்ற integration space ல இருக்கிற applications வழியா தான் the data is going to come in.
So what I am suggesting is that
That's your
there will be a
first
dashboard like so say like there is a section where you can drag and drop several analytics
Yeah.
from our analytics from our saved filters pop it there.
makes sense.
That's
Airflow.
Exactly like how we did for one of our customers, right? Back then we did doing consulting, something like that.
Okay.
No, not Airflow. Pluggable widgets. Each and every widget could be a saved filter or an analytics.
Oh, okay, got it.
That
Got it.
it's a quick win for us. Like
and that will be the first page that you land in when you open the
Yeah.
product because it gives me so much focus.
ஏன்னா உங்களுக்கு இம்பார்ட்டன்டான இது என்னன்னு
it's
தெரிஞ்சிடும்.
basically like how we configure post op, right? You put in multiple
Yes.
items in a dashboard,
Yeah.
make it as a homepage for you,
Right.
Yeah.
something like that.
I am only gonna take a look at that, get my work done, go to the next thing.
So as for example, if development team is there, we'll have a set for only the bugs.
Yeah.
Got
I'll
it.
have
And
if
a
I'm
lot
a
of
team lead.
customers are actually using featureOS as their support
Ticketing.
ticketing tool too, right? So
And if I'm a team leader, I'll have how many teams are assigned to my team members.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something like that.
அவன் பண்ணலாம் இது PRD எடுக்கலாம்.
Yeah, we
Yeah, I
can.
can do it.
Yeah, start off the PRD on linear and we'll do that. And also we'll finally try working backwards. We'll write the change log and keep it, saying this is what is going to happen and knowledge based
Build
on
the
that.
vision first and then.
Yeah, and work backwards, right? That way, that is the ultimate checklist about how the experience is going to be,
Yeah.
and work backwards from there. Anyways, cool. You have any quick thoughts about இது என்ன பண்ணலாம்?
Which one?
GPT-4o.
GPT-4, I think, yeah, what we can do is, probably sort of attender bots that we can look into. I think that is one good feature where attender bots join all your meetings, collect feedback from there, so that you don't have to take notes.
Actually,
Bot
I have, in fact, when we were talking about these different sources and the input source, audio input source that the competition also did, I am not so sure about why there should be AI embedded in meetings, because it is actually assuming by default that every meeting happens in English and every meeting happens in a particular format. I don't think so. Like I've been on customer calls where they are on phone, they are running, and all those things. The last thing I want to do is to capture that in the wrong way, and then I sit and edit the audio transcript. You get it?
It's in my car, I'm driving.
I think it's stupid. But instead, it can be like linked to the meeting.
Actually, it's I'll defer here because I was in a customer call a few days back.
In English.
In English, but we had a different I speak in English, he speaks in Hindi, so I speak Tamil, he speaks Hindi, so we always communicate in Hindi, English, right? And which is kind of common in most cases wherever it is a customer calls, because I'm not being very judgmental here, but majorly we speak in English or a common channel, right? Common medium, so that because it involves multiple people, so it's easier to talk in a common platform. So he was using an extension, and then that got joined in the call, and then I got a summary of it. So what happened is that few days later, when I had some points that I missed in my notes, I was able to go back and then refer.
Yeah. See, summary is fine. That is very helpful. I'm talking about getting the feedback from that and then processing it here.
Yeah, it's a good thing, right? Because they might have hinted you a small thing. இது நல்லா இருந்திருக்கும், right? Something like
I think
that could also be captured because it could be a very minuscule for you.
No,
Maybe
how we solve the problem is not when capturing the feedback. We actually solve the problem on how we actually bring it into the platform. It's not just capturing. So let's say you capture 10 points.
Oh,
You
you
don't
guys
need-
are looking at it that way.
Yeah, you don't have to put all the 10 points as feedback.
Okay,
Otherwise,
see,
you
I
define
looked
one.
at it from end customer's perspective, where the feedback from the meeting is captured in a wrong and shitty way. I have to sit and edit again. You know, இப்போ தப்பா capture பண்ணுச்சுன்னா இன்னைக்கு I'm already forgotten because anyways it's in featureOS. 10 days or a month later I come back, it's like different feedback and this is not even what the customer asked for. I go in search of everything and it wastes my time. That's what I was concerned about.
We should evaluate how accurate the models are. There are so many models now. So
It's not just about capturing, it's about how you make it easy for them to push a chunk of that as feedback.
Yeah, I get that point.
Yeah.
And also, when we launch it, it has to be inclusive with Spanish and all the different
We
languages.
support 21 languages now, so way to go.
Sorry, okay. So what do we do next?
So we figure out the plans for the dashboard. Probably that could be one use case.
That's okay. Inniki knowledge base we are shipping.
Yeah. We have certain things to plan for this week already, right? So
Yes.
Sorry,
We have
okay.
user segmentation going live this week.
Okay, cool. I think we have done quite a bit.
Hold on.
Sorry, okay.
Good.
For now, we'll go start the work. And,
okay.
we'll see.
It's out from.
How did it go?
Yeah, you can start.